Hello, my name is Will and welcome to the first of a series of videos that looks to teach you a little bit about the body whilst keeping you active. Now the content for this video is coming from the OCR GCSE PE specification. Now this is obviously going to be great for students, but I really want to stress that this is going to be helpful to people from all different backgrounds to give a baseline knowledge of your body. Now in today's video we are going to be focusing on the skeletal system, looking specifically at some of the major bones, some of the major joints and some of the major functions. So our body is made up of a significant number of bones, and these bones play some particular role within the body. One role can be that they actually make up your joints, so allow you to move. Now a joint is where two or more bones meet, and again there are a number of different types of joint within your body. We're only going to be focusing on a specific few, so if you're looking to do your own research into this, I would strongly suggest it because there's some really interesting ones in there. Okay, so the first set of bones that I want you to try and remember are the cranium, which is your skull, your vertebral column, which is your spine, your clavicle, which is your collarbone, your scapula, which is this big bone at the back, and then your humerus. So the next two bones that I want you to try and remember are your ribs and your sternum. So these don't necessarily make up a joint, they make up your chest region, but they play a really important role in protecting some of your most vital organs in your body. Moving now to another joint within the body, your elbow joint. This is made up of three different bones. So again, you have got your humerus, which is what was associated with your shoulder joint. You have then got your radius and your ulna, which are your two bones in your arm. So if you were to have your palm facing upwards, the bone on the outside is your radius and the bone on the inside is your ulna. And again, these interact in a really interesting way in order to turn, but we're specifically focusing on its ability to flex and extend the elbow. It plays a really important role in a significant number of movements within daily life. Now, although there is a joint that is associated with the wrist, we are just going to specifically focus on the bones that you can find within your hand. So after your radius and ulna, you've then got your carpals. After your carpals, you've then got your metacarpals, and at the end, you have got your phalanges. So if you are a Friends fan like me, hopefully the word phalanges manages to stick in your mind. Looking a little bit further down the body, we have our hip joint. Now our hip joint is made up of our pelvis and it is made up of our femur, and again is going to be associated with some major movements within our body. Looking further down still, we have our knee joint. Our knee joint is made up of our femur again, and it is also made up of our tibia, which is our shin bone, so the bone on the very front. Now in the middle of this joint there is a bone known as the patella, but it's important to remember that the patella is not associated with the joint at the knee. There is another joint that it can be connected to within this knee, but we are going to focus on the fact that the femur and the tibia are what make up this particular joint. And finally, we're going to then be looking at the ankle joint. Now the ankle joint is made up of the tibia. Again, it is then also made up of the fibula. So it's important to remember the difference there, tibia versus fibula. Tibia will be on the front, the shin bone, and then it's fibula that sits behind. Now you then also have your tarsals. So in comparison to what's going on in your hand, you have your carpals at your hand, but you have your tarsals where your foot is. You then have your metatarsals, and then finishing off with phalanges. So if you can remember what's in the hand or if you can remember what's in the foot, it's going to help you to remember one or the other. Now we have mentioned a number of locations around the body which have joints, but we are specifically now going to focus in on the shoulder, the elbow, the hip and the knee, as there are two specific types of joint that we're going to talk about. So the first type of joint that we're going to look at is the hinge joint. Now the hinge joint can be found in your elbow and it can be found in your knee. So this is only actually going to allow movement in one particular plane. So if we're thinking about our elbow, we can either have it extended out or we can have it bent. We aren't able to move it in any other different directions. It either needs to be flexed or it needs to be extended. So the second joint that we're going to look at is the ball and socket joint. Now this is designed differently to the hinge joint, and as a consequence a number of different movements can occur at this particular joint. So if we take for example our pelvis has got a socket and our femur has got a rounded edge. That femur will sit within the socket and its design will then allow it to utilize a number of different movements. Now, although these two joints are designed differently, they both fall under the category of being a synovial joint. A synovial joint is a freely movable joint. Now, across the body, there are a number of different types of joint. That is why it's really important to remember that these two, the ball and socket and the hinge, can fall under the category of synovial joint. Now, synovial joints have features that play a really important role in keeping either your bones together or keeping each joint stable. So first of all, bones are connected by ligaments. So bone to bone, think of ligament. When you think about muscle attachment to these particular bones, you want to think about the term tendon. And if you're trying to think about, okay, well, how do we actually protect these joints? How do we stop them from hurting when we're moving? Well, that is coming from the role of cartilage. So if you think about the ends of your bones, there is something known as articular cartilage, which essentially covers the end of the bone and stops them from rubbing together. They also act as shock absorbers from when you are moving. Now, a significant role that our bones and joints play is in allowing us to move. But movement is only one function of the skeletal system, and in fact, there are a significant number of other aspects that are important to know. So in addition to movement, we have the ability to hold a particular posture. That is because our bones have such a rigid structure that they allow us to remain upright. As we started to explore with tendons, you can also see that they provide an important site for support. So for our vital organs and for our muscles, they support this entire framework and allows our body to function. Now, another really important function of our skeletal system is protection. So if we think about our cranium or our rib cage, they are protecting our brain, our heart, our lungs. If they were not there, those vital organs would be exposed, and as a result, any minor impact is very likely to either kill us or very much hurt us. So the final two functions of the skeletal system focus around blood cell production and the storage of minerals. So in relation to blood cell production, within certain bones in your body, red and white blood cells are produced. They can then be used for a variety of different functions within your body. So for example, transporting oxygen or for fighting infection. In relation to the storage of minerals, minerals such as calcium are stored within your bones, and again, in a similar sense to blood cell production, they can then be used for a variety of important bodily functions. So this video was just a whistle-stop tour of the skeletal system, but hopefully you now come out with this having a bit more of a knowledge of the different bones, some of the different joints, and some of the different functions of the skeletal system. You can now go on to test your knowledge of what you've learned within this video in the workout video connected to this video. So please do go and check that out. In the meantime, please do make sure to give this video a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm really excited to create this particular series over the next coming weeks and months, and hopefully it is of some form of use to you. So I will see you in the workout.